This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Sean and Joni Wolfswinkel.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Sean and Joni Wolfswinkels. We are here inside the Wolf's Den in our cowboy attire.
Yeah, howdy. But it's the rodeo, Houston rodeo is going on. We thought it'd be cool. Our staff, we try to do fun things and keep it lively here at the office. And so it's rodeo day or Western wear theme day. And so we're having some barbecue for lunch, and we're all dressed up in our boots and hats. So, keeping it fun. And we'll be going to the rodeo later today. And it's actually a special day because as we were recording this, it's actually Joni's birthday. So happy birthday, Joni.
Thank you.
Yeah. So officially my old lady today.
Hey, whatever. You always like to throw that in there, don't you?
But no, happy birthday, and hope it's a great
Appreciate
day.
it. It's been an amazing day and an amazing year. So I can't wait to see what the next year holds for me. So,
well, today we're going to talk about, and I hope we can really formulate this and get out the message. It's actually, Joni and I went to the rodeo 2 nights ago and saw Jelly Roll, and we had this conversation the whole way home, and I'm like, well, that could be a good podcast.
Yeah.
We should have just been recording it all. But we're going to, there's some thoughts, and I hope we can get across the message of what we were thinking and kind of what we formulated.
Right. So I want to tell them a little bit about what we were thinking about and what kind of.
So, this whole podcast is about embracing belief and action, the power of incremental progress. So what we're getting into the other night was, transformative power of belief, worthiness. We're currently reading as an organization the book Worthiness or Worthy by Jamie Kern and her new book Worthy, and it's about self-belief, believing you're worthy, believing you are in the right place, believing in yourself to accomplish something, believing in yourself to do something big. And so, which
is really, I think, is key to anything that you do to be successful. You have to believe, right? You have to believe in yourself that you can do it. And I think like for you and I know that that's been the biggest blessing for us, is that we've always believed. Yeah, we don't sometimes know how to necessarily get there or what obstacles we're going to have along the way, but it always started with believing in ourselves.
Yeah. And where this was stemming from was, because I feel like there's a lot of people that sometimes just believe, or they believe they deserve something, or they believe a lot of people think they're worthy of something, but then they don't put forth the action and they don't 100%. Do the steps that are required. And so from my experience and what I've seen, like reading books, studying successful people, studying mentors and all that, is they put forth a massive amount of action. And at the same time, and this is what we were getting at, you got to put forth that action, even in the face of doubt, even when you sometimes don't believe in yourself, when you don't necessarily know the outcome or the end result.
Right.
You still put forth the action. And so this is where the discussion came into play. Because I believe that, yes, you got to have the action and all that. And then we got it talking about belief. Is belief just BS? Because if you believe something or perceive something, then it becomes reality, and then is that just kind of BS? Because a lot of people say it's more the action that takes.
But it starts with the belief, though.
Correct.
Because how are you going to take the action if you don't believe in something?
Right? I think you can. I think you can.
Maybe.
You can do the necessary steps. And that's what I was getting at. Because you can be a disciplined person and put in the action to get somewhere. Do you need the belief? And then the end result, which what we were talking about, was that, yes, you do need, because even though we were looking at our own examples, and yes, we would put forth the action, and yes, we would have doubts, we'd have fears, but we would always still believe that we would get the end result. We would get out of this. We didn't know how, we didn't know the steps, we didn't know the path, but we believed that
100%.
So there's got to be, I think, just like the atmosphere, or you have to have some belief in order to make it a reality. Right.
Yeah. And I think if you're asking me, I think it starts with the belief. In order for you to go that path, to be able to take that action, like you have to believe in yourself. Like, I mean, if you're talking negative and you're like, I don't believe this can be done, Correct.
More than likely, you're right. And because it can't be done, right? If you believe that, or you say that, you're right, whether you say you can or you can't. Right. Because
if you say you can't do it, then absolutely you can't do it.
Correct. And you're correct. And you're going to get that outcome. So I believe, but I also, in challenging that a little bit, that I think in the beginning, you'll have people that say, I don't necessarily believe I'm talented, I have the experience. But if you don't, and there can be some doubt, but I don't think if you don't put forth the effort behind it, and I think effort and seeing results. So like if you put forth the effort, even in the beginning, if you don't necessarily, you have some doubts in yourself, that you've seen people that have been in your same circumstances overcome something and accomplish something great. And this is where Jelly Roll came to this conversation. And then you see, but it's because they put forth action, they created something. So I think people can, even with that self-doubt, put forth action and then start seeing some results, which will build on that belief. Yeah. That will build their belief, their confidence. 100%. And so I think, I don't know, maybe it's the 80-20 rule. I think, I don't know if that's the exact way to say it, but I think there has to be a big portion of it has to be action and taking the necessary steps, and also start believing. But yes, deep down, you and I have always had the belief that we can get there. Yes. Even in some difficult circumstances.
I mean, you can doubt yourself, and we've doubted ourselves, all along, but at the end of the day, we still believed in ourselves. We believed that we can get there somehow, some way. Right. In the end. Yeah. But I also feel like we did the action. Massive action. Yeah. Massive action.
We just did what steps we needed to take. And that's what I've seen most people. And there's always going to be doubt. There's always going to be the imposter syndrome. I think a lot, there's times that, especially you beginning when you were speaking a lot more on stages and all that, there was like,
am I worthy enough to be up here? Right. Or people are going to take me serious. Yeah. You get a lot of that, but I still did it no matter what, my mind was trying to tell me. Yeah. I still got up there and did what I need to, right?
Yeah. Did you believe that you could do it?
Yeah, I believed that I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You just didn't know if you were worthy enough, or people would take you serious, or people would appreciate the message you're trying to share. Right. Yeah. Right. And that was the self-doubt and your mind.
Which everybody goes through. Correct. Right.
But you take action no matter what.
Yeah. Anyways. And I think that's why it's important to, read and listen to podcasts and do all the personal development that you to get you to that point. Because if not, there's going to be times where you're going to doubt yourself that you can do things, right? Your mind plays games with you, and you have to be able to overcome that. Correct. And that's helped me.
Yeah. I think there's importance to positive self-talk. Even though I'm not great at it, where I think I'm great at is visualization. So that's something that I'm a visual person. I'm stimulated by visual things. And so like, that's how, for me, if I visualize it, I've always been able to see it. If I can see it ahead of time, then I can get there. But if I can't see how I'm going to get there, sometimes then I start doubting myself.
Yeah, you can do a vision board as well and write all, your desires and dreams on that vision board of where you want to go as a reminder when you wake up every morning, right? And you look at those things, you're like, oh yeah, like that's why I'm doing this.
And then the importance of surrounding yourself with, like you mentioned before, with supportive individuals.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. Because
you're gonna get the haters of the world, right? Yeah. I mean, you put yourself out there enough, people are gonna be like, oh, like, who is this person? Like, what advice can they give me? Yeah. Right? Yeah. But
what did the person tell you the other day? it's only because you put money that why you look good or something. I was like, okay, interesting.
Okay.
Thanks
But
for
yeah,
the compliment.
there's gonna be haters out there, and you got to be if you're gonna put yourself out there enough, you got to be willing to accept that and deal with that, right?
Yeah.
Have thicker skin.
Yeah. So we put some bullet points that we thought we'd talk about in regards to this topic. And so first was belief, which we've gotten into a lot. Belief does shape your reality. It influences your actions. I'm also of the belief that you have to put forth those actions. Like you can't wait till you believe in it to take the action. Sometimes I think you got to take the action and then the action builds the belief.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
But that's what I'm getting at. Am I wrong or no?
No.
I think that's, yes, because that was the argument Joni and I were having in the car. Because like, does well, not an argument, but like what we were talking about. But I think, yes, deep down in some of our most challenging times, we still believe that we could pull ourselves out. But also, I don't know, it could be also faith. It could be we had the faith that higher power is going to get us through this, which helped us have the belief and gave us a stronger belief. But I still think that, yes, belief does influence those actions. I think belief in yourself and your abilities to achieve your goals, you got to believe in yourself. But you taking the necessary action steps will build that belief. And the more you do it, the stronger your belief will become in yourself. And
totally.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's how you strengthen your belief, I believe, is by taking action and seeing yourself.
Yeah, because the more you do it, the more confident you get in it, right? And
Correct.
So I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. And then worthiness was the next bullet point. And that's why we're reading as an organization the book Worthy. Number one is we bring in a lot of books that are male written. I thought it'd be cool for our organization.
And I think for our listeners, it's a good book that everybody should read. It's called Worthy, and it's by
Jamie Kern.
And I mean, she's got an amazing story where she, kind of put herself out there, and they even told her that she was unworthy, right?
Sure.
And so for years, forever, she held that.
Yeah. And then she sold her cosmetic company to L'Oreal and made, like $1 billion. And so she's a billionaire today, but it's just her story. But she was a waitress and all that starting out and before she started her company. So it's a neat story. But I think that every woman, but also every male, like we all have issues of do we feel like we're worthy?
Right.
Or do we feel like we're worthy enough? And so feeling worthy of success and happiness is crucial to pursuing our goals with confidence and determination. Self-worth, and it's hard because we don't always feel we're worthy and that's, I think sometimes we question ourselves. I think if being vulnerable here, like there's a lot of times we're like, are we worthy? And I feel like sometimes when you going through this self-worthy, I think Ed Milet says it really well. He says like, we have thermostats, all of us. And like, if you don't turn your worthy thermostat up, you always will self-regulate to what you feel you're worthy of.
Right.
And I that's something that's resonated really with me because I felt like if I'm not, if I don't feel I'm worthy of something or deserving of something, you'll find ways to, you'll almost create in your life things that will bring you back down to where you feel you're worthy. And I've seen in other people, like if they feel like they're, with family and stuff like that, if they feel like they're just, that they're not deserving of a different lifestyle or a different outcome, they'll sabotage themselves to bring them back down to where they
totally
think they believe, where they live. Right.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And there's times where you and I will say like, man, like we got to give ourselves some credit, right? Like some credit for where we've gotten. Right. And I think for everybody listening, I think you have to sit back and say, you know what, like, man, like give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
And celebrate those small wins. I mean, you know, no matter what, like you're progressing, and you got to celebrate that, no matter if it's small or big, right? Celebrate the small wins.
I agree. The next bullet point was taking action. So like, and this is what I've been preaching here, is like, I believe heavily in the action part creates a lot of the other stuff. And you can create that, but I still think you need belief and worthiness, because even though you might take action and hit a certain goal, you can always come back down if you don't believe you're worthy.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you take action and the action was a total fail, right?
Yeah.
And then if you didn't have the worthiness and the self-belief, I mean, that's just going to put you to, oh man, like, you know, I just failed, so I'm not going to get back up and start over, right?
Correct. So, take consistent and purposeful action towards your goals, even in the face of uncertainty, doubt, and certain uncertainty of fear.
And I think that's hard for a lot of people to take the action, because they're unsure of, you know, when they do take that action, where it's going to end up.
Correct.
Ultimately, they're afraid of fear, right?
Yeah.
They're afraid of failure.
As we've tried to mentor a lot of our staff and people, like I've noticed that, you know, when we used to do the real estate classes and all that, the biggest obstacle was like people had the information. You see all these people that go to course after course after course, and they're still in the same boat. I see it
all the time with people that, you know, I mentor and help coach, and, you know, they have it and they know what they need to do, but they just don't do it.
They don't take the action. They don't take the steps. And it's still because they
don't feel worthy, and they don't feel that they have the belief that they can do it.
There you go. So you got to take those actions anyway. So just, I think you got to take the necessary steps. So like, when you know what you have to do, you just plan those actions. So it might be speaking in front of a group. It might be going and doing those 10 sales calls. So they're a good example of this. Like recent, like when the last couple of years was, we did a fund. We started a real estate fund and raised $10 million for our TTK Capital Fund. That was very uncomfortable for me. That was, I had fear, number one, that calling people, asking them for money, even though I had raised a lot over the years, but this was different. This was me cold calling people. I had doubt that I could raise it. We had a lot of pressure at the time. And so I was like, I got to get this done. Time frames to raise it and to hit that number. We had things to buy and we needed the capital to buy it. So like, I had all those things: fear, doubt, doubting myself. Could I really do this? But what you have to do is just like, hey, I know I'm capable of it. I know I can do it. I know I've done it in the past. I've tried to look at past examples of where I've done it. And then I just set actionable steps. So like, I think we sat down, we're like, hey, you just got to call like 10 people a day. Here's your list, create your list. And you just got to start calling this like at least 10 a day. And so I would schedule like Saturday mornings, because I felt like, okay, no distractions, nobody's in the office, and I could just call. Right. And yes, it was very uncomfortable. You just do it and you get better and better and better.
Right.
Yeah.
And just like talking about it. I mean, I remember when you felt very uncomfortable. I'm like, look, like let's sit and like talk about actionable steps on. Because sometimes I think that you look at like the bigger picture of, you know, oh my gosh, like I need to raise this $10 million. Like, and so you're just looking at that 10 million, but okay, like let's break it down. And how can we take the little steps to get to the big step, right? And so sometimes I think that overwhelms us and overwhelms others. And it helps to have a support system. It helps to plan it and talk about it before, and creating those actionable steps like you talked.
No, I think that's a huge takeaway. So like I don't know if it resonates with everybody that's listening, but it does definitely for me, because whenever I look at the total big picture of something, that's when I get stressed or overwhelmed. But if I and we do this with Joni and I do this with each other all the time. I'm like, whenever she's overwhelmed, she's just looking at the bigger picture, the whole thing that's got to get done. And that will overwhelm me. Sometimes it's just too big that you can't process it. And so you're like, well, just take one day at a time. Like, just take the one step.
Yeah.
So what wasn't even done
What do we
right
need
now?
to do
Today.
the next,
Yeah. Don't just take it
30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is, right?
Just break it down.
To get there.
Correct. And break it down and just start looking and focusing on that one next right step. And that will lead you to that bigger goal. Next one was doubt. Just, it's a natural part of the human experience. We all doubt ourselves.
You're going to doubt yourself no matter what. So, I mean, that's the nature of it. But
you should have like doubt or fear.
It should make you feel uncomfortable. If it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, then you're probably not doing something right.
You're not challenging.
You're not challenging yourself.
Yeah. And where did we hear that recently? That somebody was talking about that.
Oh, I was actually on a call with a multifamily owner, and he's like, "Man, I'm so scared. I'm stressed out." And I'm like, "Well, it should make you feel uncomfortable." That's what I told him.
I think he cut him off guard because he's like, "Huh, yeah, I guess it should."
He's actually a well-known NBA player, right? And so anyhow, so he should know that.
Correct.
He's been in uncomfortable situations.
So just, it's part of it. I think everybody has it. I think you got to learn to overcome it and learn that, again, a lot of times the doubt or fear is because you're looking at a larger instead of just looking at what's the next right step.
Right.
And just taking that step. So just, again, like you've heard this a million times, but this is like where it applies is like, how do you eat a whole elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
So just, if you look at the whole elephant, you're like, no way I can eat that. And then embracing incremental progress is what we just talking about.
Small steps, baby steps, and celebrating those small wins, as you take those steps.
And just the 1% rule, just improving 1% every day. So I think that's something you just keep in the back of your mind that, hey, I don't need to make it. And that's where I think people struggle on trying to change their lives or change their financial situation or their outcome or starting a business they think like, all of it all together or they want it too fast.
That's the biggest thing.
So it's like, and they don't realize that it's just one step at a time, just improving yourself. You ain't going to be able to go from here to here unless you win and there's people that have done it. Don't get me wrong. There's people that have hit a home run in their business right away. There's people that have hit the lottery. But
it's always going to take longer than what you expect it to be.
For the majority of us, it's going to take that small little steps over and over, and there's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing fun about it. There's nothing. It's about enjoying the process, but still, it's daily, uncomfortable, disciplined actions every day that gets you. And then all of a sudden, you go 3-4 years like that. You look back, you're like, wow, okay, I made a huge strides.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great takeaway for entrepreneurs listening because, I think, we're in the trenches grinding every day. And then sometimes we feel like, man, like, why am I grinding this hard? Why am I grinding this hard? I'm not seeing the fruits of my labor. Right. And I mean, it's always going to take longer. You will eventually see it. And we have seen it. Right. And we look back now and say, man, like, but I wouldn't take that back because I learned so much throughout that process. Yeah. Right.
And that a lot of the RPM franchises that we mentor, we help. And we were in their shoes, like where they're at. Like if they're in a 1 or 2 year old office, it's like, they're not having fun. They're not making any money. They're like, this sucks. Why did I do this? And I remember those days we were there, like, wait, it's just like, God, that was 14 years ago. So like, and you don't realize that I grinded for 14 years and put up with a lot of crap. And so like,
really, this took 23 years. What we have built has taken 23 years.
And we're not even like we're not like patting ourselves on the back or bigger than, there's people way bigger than us. I'm just what it took to us to get to where we are. And yes, you have to take those, and it's going to take time and
patience
and taking action. It's not going to happen. again, I'm going to beat this into the drum. You have to take action like each and every day. It's not going to happen just for you. Just because you bought a franchise, the franchisor is not going to just give you a big business.
You're not going to have leads just flowing in, right? Like you got to go work. You got to go work that system.
So just, you have to every day grind it and work it and take a massive action, and we'll see the outcome. It's just going to take a lot longer than you think. And you necessarily, sometimes what I've found is like, you as a business owner there's things you have to learn. There's things you have to go through in order for you to hit the next. Every time I've ever taken a next step in business or in life, it's usually I learned something new that I didn't know.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's usually I had to go through pain to learn that thing. And then I take another step.
And we're still learning.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's usually you have to go through something, the valley, before you can learn what you need to learn as an entrepreneur, as a business owner.
Yeah.
As a parent, as a husband, spouse, and then you can take the next step. So just take those next right steps, even in the face of doubt and uncertainty. Take those small improvements and they'll count, they'll build up, and you will see your own success. And want to just let you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes it can seem very dark. But if you know at least the direction you're headed, and you start taking the right steps, you'll start seeing the light. Yeah. I promise you, it is there. So just keep stepping. So appreciate everybody listening. We had a good time doing this, and we appreciate everybody that listens and gives us feedback. And it's fun to get the feedback when we go to events and stuff and hear people that have listened to our show and get value out of it. So we appreciate all of you, and have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
See you, everyone.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Sean and Joni Wolfswinkel. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there. Talking. But Joni and Sean are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.